Good evening. So I'm back, and I believe I've come to the end of the cam saga, figuring out how to record some sculpture I want to share. So this is introducing a sculpture called Touch. It's approximately 16 inches tall, and I'll switch over to it momentarily here. Just want to give a little background. This is a very early piece, probably 2014, maybe 2015. It's in bronze. The large bulk of the larger pieces that I do these days are pewter. That's maybe a story for later in this video as far as like why pewter and not bronze. To make this video a little bit longer, I'll probably get into that. And with no further ado, here is Touch. So this is a life cast of my left hand. And originally this piece is done in something called microcrystalline wax. Pretty much my primary sculpture medium since the beginning of this genre or style of work. My sculptural background goes back a ways to about 1988, 89. And back then in undergraduate, I was doing a lot of welded steel. And then in a graduate, I was doing welded steel and cast glass. So metal and fire are definitely close to my heart. And this piece is pretty solid. The base is hollow, but it's thick because I did my own wax and I delivered it to the foundry. And of course the hand is solid. Certain things I have found in doing detailed work is some things just aren't worth making hollow to save a spoonful or two of metal. So a lot of my pieces are very heavy, and most of them are one of one. I don't do multiple castings. They're super labor intensive, and I'd rather just make more art. So this piece is, I guess traditionally you would call it the artist proof, but in reality it's one of one. This will be the only bronze edition to exist on Earth ever. I still have the mother mold for it, and I keep all my molds. This is a 4-piece mold, I believe. The base and the tree trunk is one mold, and then the hand with the various fairy houses and the UFO and some other things. Those are all with the hand. The mushroom shaman that's on the pinky, he's a separate cast, and also the little mushroom that has another mushroom growing out of it, that is on the thumb, that's also a separate cast. So had these pieces cast in raw bronze, and then I took the parts home and I have a MIG welder with bronze wire, and so I first preheated the piece up and welded it, and then I started to do all the finish work on it. Lots of dremeling, lots of polishing, a lot of cold chisel work, and there you have it. So these videos are going to be relatively short as far as YouTube standards go, or at least my normal video, because I know that watching a sculpture go around and around is maybe not the greatest, but I figure 4 to 6 minutes per video, and then I may later develop a way of toggling back and forth and getting up and repositioning maybe another sculpture during the presentation, but for now I'm going to do one sculpture at a time. And as far as YouTube's algorithm and things, I may need to do 2 separate videos because I want to share this on both my channels. So it's going to be a little bit of a juggling act with that in mind. And as far as pewter goes versus bronze, I've had a lot of, let's say, tricky experiences with third-party casters, people who you give the wax to, and then you get in your car and you leave, and then you return 2 weeks later. I think that it's hard to explain in words, but ultimately no one really thinks about or feels about your art, of course, the way you do. And many people don't have the skills to cast their own artwork and or weld it or finish it. So I feel for them, because a lot of times you don't get back what you give as far as the original piece goes. And then of course there's timing, cost, and the piece is about 10 to 13% smaller than the original. So, and driving to the Bay Area to drop it off as well, and going back to the Bay Area to pick it up, because I do not want this shipped FedEx or by any means other than myself. So I stopped having bronzes cast almost a decade ago and just focused on making sculptures. And one day I did an experiment with pewter. And that's a longer story I'll get into later, but ultimately I developed a casting method that, as far as I know, folks don't know about. And I'm going to share it on this channel and see if I can get some support in spreading the word and share the information and the techniques with people so that they have this opportunity and possible venue to cast their own works. And with pewter, I cast directly into the mother mold, which means there's no lost wax, and the scale of the piece is 1:1 of the original, no shrinkage. So I get the original scale of the original sculpture. It has been a journey to get this this quality and the cam figured out. I hope it's figured out. And again, this is touch, and there's not a lot to say about this piece. There's no particular story other than I'm not sure if my cursor will be recorded. I didn't do a test video before this, but we'll see. So here, right there, is a old school UFO made of wood. I mean, supposedly made of wood. I mean, as far as representational. The texture and the idea of a wooden UFO, that's what that is. And this here is in the middle, this kind of bulbous area that's at the base of the tree trunk. That is a retired UFO that has been sitting there for a very long time. And the roots of this tree have grown around it, and there are steps leading up into it. And here, this is a whole fairy village of buildings built on top of one another, all the way up to the pinky, the base of the pinky. And then this thing here, that's a bee nest, two of them, hornets' nests. And then down here on each side, there's a different totemic face, reminiscent of Mayan or Aztec, Incan iconography. But I didn't have any particular culture in mind when those came through. And then these right here, these little vertical things with a little nub on top, those are swamp roots that grow upwards from the swamp. So this has got kind of a swampy vibe. And the mushroom shaman, he actually cast him separate once in pewter. So he's out there somewhere on someone's Curo shelf or desk. This piece is available. I'm doing a fundraiser, ongoing fundraiser, I guess you could say that it's well, not a whole lifetime long, but it's centered around wanting to get my own abode and root in a little deeper in the world. So this is touch. I think the life cast turned out pretty decent. I did this with plaster, and you see the vein here. So I did it in a two-piece mold, plaster, two halves, and then later I poured microcrystalline wax into the plaster mold and popped out the hand. And originally there's a dowel that runs through the whole piece all the way up into about here. A pretty big dowel, like maybe 3/8 of an inch, because the hand was pretty heavy as far as the original sculpture goes. So it needed to be almost independently supported outside of the little tree trunk, and more thin linear elements around it. If I do find a home for this piece, it will be shipped on a pallet, um, private private shipping, very special packaging, etc. Um, a foam filled 2 or 3 part mold that compresses against the piece as one, and yeah, just a lot of TLC that will go into the preparation of getting this piece from here to there. Bronze doesn't really break that easy. It's very resilient. So if you use some good meticulous dense packing material, it'll be fine. I've shipped this piece all the way down to Laguna Beach, which is like 600 or 700 miles from here and back. So we're at the 16-minute mark, and I'm going to say farewell. Thank you for tuning in and sharing touch here with the world. All my best to you.